Hello everyone, my name is Melissa Cohen. So today we're going to talk about ibonds. So you may be hearing all the latest buzz, ibonds, and then you're thinking, I have no idea what that means. So first of all, I'll tell you, they are Series I savings bonds issued by the U.S. Treasury Department. So I'm just going to get to the chase. Why are you all of a sudden hearing about them? You're hearing about them is because they used to pay 6 months ago, or up until November 1st, 3%, which isn't a lot. And then as of the first business day in November, typically November 1st, it jumped to 7.12%. So if you have any money and you're sitting in a high yield savings account or a money market account that's paying less than 1%, because that is the highest yield out there. Like I signed up to the Susie Orman account and through the Alliant Credit Union, and that's one of the highest rates I could find, and it's 0.55 for a savings account. That's the highest yield. So if you are looking somewhere to put your money for a short term, like it needs to be liquid, you can get to it within the next 3 years. You're looking at a money market account, a CD, credit, savings account through a bank, anything like that. And that's the highest yield. It's less than 1%, which is absolutely ridiculous because inflation, we know inflation is going higher than that. So you're actually, quote, losing money in that sense. But you still have to have your money in case there's an emergency, right? Because we all have a savings emergency account, and we have our money there in case we need it, or we have a short term or a goal that is coming up in the short term, less than 3 years, that we need a payment for, like a payment, buy a new car, put a down payment on for a house, and so we can get a mortgage, those sorts of things. So you got to have somewhere to put your money. So the reason why the Treasury Direct Series I savings bonds are so in the news right now is because it's the first business day of November and May. So typically November 1st and May 1st. The rates will change. So it went from 3 point something, and you can look that up, to 7.12% as of November. That's a big deal. So what does that mean? How do I invest? What does it mean? What are the terms? How do I do it? Etc., etc. So I'm going to take you directly to the treasurydirect.gov website. So this is the only place you can buy them. You cannot buy them through your retirement accounts. You cannot buy them through the bank. You cannot buy them through any brokerage accounts. You have to go directly to the U.S. government. And the reason why, you may say, well, why do I want to buy through Treasury Series I savings bonds? Well, first of all, the U.S. government is the safest, lowest risk security equity you can buy. That's kind of like the goal, the base level standard of what their interest rates are, and then the credit card fees and such always go up above that. So, and the reason why is because it's guaranteed. It's always guaranteed. We've always paid our bills on time. We may be in debt as a government, but we've always paid our bills on time. So it's the most surest place to put your money, basically. Okay, so there are a couple of caveats. Well, let's go through. Okay, let's go to the website. So we have treasurydirect.gov. You have to set up an account. So you can buy it through a business or an individual. So just last month in December 2021, I got an extra $100 as a Christmas gift, and so I was like, well, what should I do with that? And I went back and forth, and I said, you know what, I'm going to buy a Series I savings bonds. I've never done it before. It's $100, which is, something to save, instead of just wasting it on something that I don't necessarily need. Let's try this out. So you do have to go through, set up an account with the U.S. government, put in your social security number, your address, that password protection sort of stuff as well. So there's a couple other things you need to know, and I'm going to walk you through some of this information. The good news is it's all on the website. So you may not understand it. Feel free to email me or ask. But I'm going to go through some of this stuff on the website. And as I said, this is the only place you can buy it, is through this treasurydirect.gov website or through your tax returns. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But you have to buy it directly from the U.S. government. All right. So what is an I-bond? So an I-bond is an inflation bond. So it has two parts to that 7.12%. So basically, it's a savings bond. It earns interest based on combining a fixed rate plus the inflation rate. So that's kind of why it really jumps. So we have a fixed rate, inflation rate. And we also know that the Feds have already announced a couple months ago that they are projecting for 2022 and 2023 that they will start raising interest rates. So we know if you want to buy anything with a loan, like a mortgage or a car, your interest rates are this is the lowest it's going to be. And they're projecting because they don't know, things can change as well. But if things continue as they are, as far as the economy, and there not being any big other extending circumstances, they are going to raise interest rates. All right. So I'm just going to read some of this information here because it's pretty straightforward. What interest does an I-bond earn? So the fixed rate is going to stay the same for the life of the bond, but that inflation rate is set twice a year. So it's issued in November. It changes November 1st and it changes May 1st. So I'm going to click on this. How do I-bonds earn interest? Okay. And it's going to go through, I've already clicked on it, so it's going to take a second. It's going to go through a lot more detail that I'm not really going to cover in this video, just because I want to keep it as brief as possible. But basically, if you buy any bonds now from November 2021 through April 2022, it's 7.12%. So at the 6-month mark, okay, whenever you buy it from November to April, these 6 months, you're going to be locked into 7.12% at the end of your 6-month term. So that date is going to be moving for you individually whenever you buy it. All right. So the interest is compounded semi-annually. So every 6 months from the bond's issue date, that's when you buy it. I think when I set up my account, it was like, I had to link my bank account, transfer the money. That took a day or two, buy the bond. And when I bought the bond, it said, oh, it's going to go into effect the following day because they need some processing time. So it's, pretty quick. It was within 2 days or maybe even 1 day. But just to let you know, it's not going to be that same day because they've got to verify all the information and such. All right. So every 6 months from whenever your bond issue date is, you're going to earn interest rate, that whatever is stated. So if you buy it today, let's say January 24th, you've got your 6-month period, it'll be July 24th, you're going to be paid out that 7.12% compounded semi-annually, right? So, but as of May 1st, there's going to be a new rate. So what happens then, so let's say you've got your, June 24th, or July 24th, all right, you're going to get paid that. So when you go back to January 24th of 2023, there'll be a new rate that will be set in May. So you don't know what that is. But at 7.12% versus a high yield savings account of 0.55%, that's a lot of money compared to my pennies that I'm getting in my interest over here. So one thing though I do want to note, here's the thing about these savings bonds, is you have to have it in there for 1 year. That's the big caveat. You can buy it in $50 increments, or I'm sorry, if you buy it online, you can use any dollar amount, but the government is going to hold it for 1 year. That's the big thing. If you need your money within the next year, don't use it. Don't buy it. The other caveat is, so for years 0 through 1, you can't touch it. Years 1 through 5 of owning the bond, you can take your money out, cash the bond, except they will take the last 3 months of interest. So it's a little bit of a penalty, but it's not really that much of a penalty. You just lose 3 months interest, which is still not still giving you more money than the 0.55 high yield savings account based on a 7.12 percentage. So I hope that makes a difference. So anything after 5 years, though, you can redeem your bond for the full value you paid. So I gave the government $100, and then they're going to pay me interest on that. So basically, I'm loaning them my money, and they're paying me for the use of that money. So after 5 years, I can keep it with the government, and they'll still keep paying me interest on the bond. Or I can cash it out, take all my interest, take my initial $100, and be free to spend it however I wish. Now, one other thing about this I wanted to point out about these bonds is they're compounded semi-annually. So every 6 months from the bond's issue date, interest is earned in the previous 6 months. So they add your interest back to the principal. So now we're going to have a new amount. And then for the next 6 months, instead of that original $100, it's going to be $100 plus whatever was your interest that was added. So it's compounding. So it's going to actually be a lot more than what you think. All right. All right, so let's see. So this, I'm not going to spend the time right now, but it says, how does Treasury figure the I-bond interest rate? It's a combination of fixed rate plus the inflation rate. It talks about all that information. It gives this nice breakdown. So right now your fixed rate is 0%. Your semi-annual inflation rate is 3.56%, but is compounded twice a year. So your composite rate is 7.12%. And when does my bond change rates? So this is that time frame I was talking about. If you bought it in January now, your new rates are going to take in effect January 1st and July 1st. Let's say that's when you bought it at the beginning of the month, right? So whatever rate's been in the past, let's see, the fixed rate has been, let's see, 0% here. But remember, that's not the inflation rate, the composite rate here. So it used to be this is where the big jump is. So the inflation rate went up to 3.56%, whereas the previous 6 months it was 1.77. You do your math on that, and it was about 3% for the whole year, right? I don't want to go into all the math aspects of it. So that was the big jump, and that's why they're all of a sudden very attractive here. So I'm going to go back to the main page here. I'm going to kind of go through a couple of things. Oh my gosh, you don't need surveys. All right, here's the other thing. So you can buy, I guess there's a couple rules. You can buy up to $10,000 per individual with a series I savings bond. So it's linked to a Social Security number. So you can buy some, your spouse can buy some, you can gift them as well based on Social Security numbers and things as well. So there is a $10,000 per year limit, except you can buy paper bonds as well. That means instead of just having this electronic account, you're literally receiving the bonds on paper through the mail. And you can do that through your income refund. So let's see. And just I-bonds, let me go back to that real quick. You can buy paper I-bonds only when you're filing a federal income tax return. So that's the only way they're doing the paper. I clicked somewhere and it's like when you're actually filing your return, you have to fill out a separate IRS form. And I don't remember what number, like 10, I don't know. I'm not even going to say anything. So you just fill that out when you're filing your tax returns, and you can fill out how much specifically you want of your tax refund money to be designated to be bought for I-bonds. So you can just choose. Like, let's say if you're getting a $1,000 refund, you can say, okay, I want $500 in I-bonds, I want $500 deposited in my bank account, right? So you can make those choices. All right, so one other thing to make, okay, and so if you do the paper bonds, though, it's only $5,000 limit as well. So technically, you can only get $15,000 per person per year. And remember, it's still 1 year, you cannot touch it. The government will not give it back to you. So how long must I keep an I-bond? So the I-bonds, they earn interest for 30 years. So unless you cash them out first. So after 30 years, they're not going to pay out any money, but they still have value. So honestly, there's like, I don't know, I read something like $1 or $2 billion worth of bonds that have matured through the U.S. government that haven't been claimed. Because we probably 30 years ago, everybody all had paper bonds. So if your grandparents or you know anybody bought paper bonds, have them go find out and go get that money, right? Because it's sitting with the U.S. government, so go claim it. And here's where it says, but if you cash them out before 5 years, you lose the previous 3 months of interest. Okay, so just make sure that you know that. How do I buy an I-bond? You go electronically, you go online in the Treasury Direct. You can do that. And by paper, you can only do it when you file your federal tax return. Just to let you know, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for entertainment and education purposes only. You have to look at your individual financial resources, what's good for you, what your comfort level is. Always talk to a tax advisor to help you make the best decisions, a financial planner to look at what your what's in your best interest. But if you're learning to start investing, you have to get information from somewhere. And all of this information is right here on the treasurydirect.gov website, so you know it's not a scam. Can't buy it through your brokerage account, anything like that. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I will try my best to get you the information. So I hope you have a great day. I hope you earn a little bit of extra interest on your money as well. Bye.